something we touched on last week was the TripAdvisor top 10. You don't mind if I lead off here, John, do you?
Go for it.
So I put together my own list, and this list is the top 10 most overrated things to do in Krakow. Yeah, I thought, a bit of consumer advice. We'll keep it short. I'm not here to take up too much of your time.
Good idea.
My criteria were kind of, is it a overpriced for what you get, a bit of a letdown, or is it something you can really just miss altogether? While the top 10 on TripAdvisor had some disappointments, it did also have some good stuff. So keep that in mind while we go through some things you might be told to do by an expat, which aren't actually that fun. Number 1.
Wait. Don't you want to go 10 to 1?
Number 10.
Bingo. He nailed that, didn't he?
Now, I put this list together. The lads haven't seen it yet. So I kept it to myself to get honest reactions from them. So I'm not sure about number 10, actually. I was reaching for a last one. I'm not trying to be controversial here. If you run one of these tours, I'm not actually that offended by them. But I do think at number 10, I've included the communist tour in a Trabant.
Controversial.
Yeah, I'm not sure about having a tour, a wacky kind of hipster tour based on a totalitarian system of government that oppressed millions and millions of people for many, many years. What
Have
do you
not
think?
seen that movie, Goodbye Lenin? I mean, it's kind of, the pathos, the kind of, people were able to have kind of happy lives, even though, our modern perspective would suggest that they were enormously, deprived. The furniture was all the same. It was brown. Everything was brown. I mean, I was in England in the 70s. Everything was brown in England in the 70s.
Do you know what, Dave? This is a good one. On the one hand, it is easy to get too serious about this and get upset over the fact that
I'm not getting too upset.
That people are getting upset over they're celebrating this awful regime. Okay, that's true. So people overreact. But at the same time, though...
It's more the hipster element that annoys me.
It is the hipster
It's
element.
a very stroke your beard activity.
Yeah, put on your skinny jeans, jump in the Trabant.
Yeah.
Trabant, sorry. Is it Trabant? Trabant?
You can see a team of English young lads going, "Oh, Jeremy Corbyn," in the centre of Nova Huta, on one of these tours.
Yeah, it's a little bit condescending to zip through. For here in Krakow, it would be Nova Huta, of course. People go to Nova Huta, and so, isn't this funny? Isn't this hilarious? Communist tour. Most local people who lived it and who are still live there today, I think you might understand if they don't see the hilarious side of the communist era.
Well, that's my point. And combined with the hipster element, that's what kind of puts me off a little bit. But to be honest with you, you've correctly inverted my list. But by number 10, I was kind of reaching. So number 9,
it's good.
Number 9, I've got anything involving strippers. I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
We've been talking a lot about strippers lately.
Yeah, I think we'll move straight on. But just save your money for alcohol, good food, accommodation, So
Yeah,
that would be
I
my
absolutely
advice.
agree. Yeah.
Number 8, river activities. Now, I don't want to slag off the river in Krakow,
I will.
but there's nothing really there. Have you ever been to Prague? I mean, they got that river nailed down. I was in Prague in 2005. There was nothing going on the river. And I went back about 3 years ago, and my God, it was river central.
It's a bigger river, though.
It's a bigger river. You got me there. It's got little islands in the middle. I'm not really comparing river to river here, but... would you say, Krakow's river is beautifully located? It should have more cool stuff on it, if you ask me, John.
It's kind of a coincidence, isn't it, that there's a river, the city happens to have a nice...
Well planned.
Yeah,
the river was well planned. It really was.
Yeah.
No, you're
Very
right.
funny, very funny.
In most European cities, especially in this part of Europe, the river is a focal point for social life, for nightlife, for tourism and whatnot. And here, even though it's literally, 7 minutes, 10 minutes at most walk from the main square, it's kind of an afterthought. And what do we have? We have literally a man-made beach,
Which isn't really...
which sucks.
Yeah.
The permanently floating cafes.
Yeah, one or two of them are quite nice.
Okay, fine. But what are you supposed to do, even as a visitor, as a local? What are you supposed to do when you go to the river? Just walk back and forth and go back to the Rinnek.
Oh, I think it's all about walking along, preferably holding hands with your dearest, and letting the whole world see that you're not a sad single person.
You could go running beside the river, but only for a few months a year. Otherwise, you will feel like you just smoked 75 cigarettes by the time you finish.
Yeah, people cycle. I cycled along by the river. It's pleasant,
Yes, it is. But when the smog is down, it smells. The river.
But most people down by the river are locals. The tourists.
Yeah, I live right beside the river. I love the river. I bring Charlie there every day. Again, like the communist tours, I'm not slagging off the river.
I am.
I appreciate that the river is developing. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff still going on along the river. You know,
It's been developing for 20 years, so whatever the long-term plan.
Well,
is,
maybe when everyone's got over their whole food truck thing, then river development will be the next
trucks
logical
down
step.
by the river, exactly.
Food, yes, floating food boat.
The balloon,
That's next.
the balloon that never is
Oh, the
allowed to take
balloon!
off.
Tell people about the balloon, Dave.
Well, it's not on my list. It's part of river activities.
Some of you
it's part of river
might know this. Most of you probably don't remember.
So Krakow's one of the least windiest cities in Europe, but still it's too windy for this balloon to take off on the majority of occasions. It also offended some people by blotting out the skyline.
Can I just add some necessary information that you skipped over? There was a balloon. Actually, it started on the north side of the river. Then it moved to the south side. It was permanently fixed
to the balloon
ground.
district?
Permanently fixed to the ground. It went up, 100 meters? How high did it go?
It was...
If that?
I've 5 times attempted to get on this balloon with Natalia and
Cancelled?
never been allowed because of the excessive wind conditions, which could not be noticed from the ground.
It wasn't allowed to go up if the wind was noticeable at all. If there was any wind, breeze whatsoever, it was grounded. And the thing was grounded most of the time, which may have had something to do with it going out of business.
Possibly so, yeah.
And it did get quite dirty as well from the pollution that we don't want to talk about at the moment. We will be doing a piece on smog later in the series, but you'll have to stay tuned for people who know stuff about that coming on the show.
Calendars for that. Smog.
That's a big issue in Krakow. Okay. Number 7, bargain hunting. This is aimed at your first-time tourists, your fresh people off the boat. There seems to be sometimes a misconception, and obviously you two gentlemen are well aware of what I'm talking about, that because Poland is cheap, that some international
Certain
products
things are cheap.
You can't go to a shopping centre here and expect to find brand names any cheaper than you'll get them back home. In fact, they'll probably be more expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah, really, it's beer, isn't it, actually? I mean, beer is cheaper than...
Food and drink.
Yeah, anything made in Poland, you're on a winner.
But, a jumper, a pair of trousers, nah.
Yeah, this is a bit of a pet peeve for me as well, Dave. How many times have you gone to the mall, Galeria Krakowska mostly? You see tourists, and first of all, it's kind of sad they're spending their part of their holiday at the mall, but
it's got air conditioning.
They are convinced that they're going to find, well, as you say, bargains. And if you're judging the country again by the price of a beer, okay, Poland is cheap, but yeah, look at the same brand names, the consumer goods you would buy in Dublin or in London or in Florida or wherever, and you're going to pay at least the same or more in dollars than you would pay at home. So I don't know why they think the things are being given away here.
Well, I know the US is cheaper for a certain class of products because I've been to a Nike outlet discount store. I've never spent so much money I didn't need to spend in my life, man. I just could not believe the prices. Anyway.
Just to make it clear.
He just did it. Yeah.
You will not find any bargains at the mall in Poland unless you're buying lunch. So.
John usually leads the pieces. That's why he keeps reinterpreting.
Yeah, I think
my words.
I'm trying to.
So number 6, having a hot beer. Okay, so Krakow has a tradition. Brace yourself, people, if you haven't heard about this before. You take a lager, you put a bit of syrup in it, some cloves, and you jam it in a microwave for 35 seconds, and you call it a tradition.
Yeah.
What do we think of this? It's vile. It's an abuse of beer. I'll stop. I'm getting emotional.
I'm going to interject here, actually, because
this is going to get controversial if he defends
There
hot
are
beer.
some places that do like proper Grzane piwo, which of course is the Polish for hot beer. And yes, you can have your microwaved spices out of a sachet pint of lager, which is pretty vile. Or you can have the real stuff, which is kind of like gently simmered over a gas ring for a period of time. And you order one of these, and some 15 minutes later, if you're lucky, the serving person will bring it over to you if you haven't died of frostbite already.
And at which point it will still taste like crap. Just
No.
Not
It
as
can-
bad
it
as
can
the
be.
microwaved version. I'm
I
not
mean-
having it. Lager was born to be served cold. It's on the bottle. It's on every can. Okay, number 5.
Dave has spoken.
Okay.
Dave has spoken. You should have made your own list. Buying a souvenir in the Cloth Hall, number 5. Okay, the Cloth Hall is a stunningly beautiful building in the centre of the main square called the Sukinica.
Sukinica.
You'll have noticed Dave doesn't have as much confidence with his Polish words as the two other gentlemen. It's because of my big flat Dublin accent. That's what I blame. What do you think about buying a souvenir in the cloth hall, John? Do you really need a giant sheepskin from Zakopane or a carved wooden box?
First of all, easy to make fun of, but you can't.
I'm not
blame
making fun of it.
people.
I'm just
I know,
saying.
but wait, you can't blame people for going to the touristy souvenir place. Okay, we all do it. We're all guilty of it at some point. But yeah, you can ask people if they really need a chess set, and what connection the chess set had with Krakow. I think the answer is none. You can ask them if they really need the, what are they called, Matryoshka dolls. FYI, those are from Russia, and nothing to do with us. The amber comes from Pomerania by the Baltic Sea. Again, nothing to do with this region. Tacky T-shirts, okay, that's kind of standard universal. So, yeah, easy to criticize, easy to make fun of. This is what people do, on the other hand. But half the stuff there, has no connection with this city. So that's where my question is. That's my question. Why the fake polar bear fur?
The list is called Overrated in Krakow. These are things that you will be told to do, but you can probably skip. Would you say it falls into that category?
I think it's unrealistic to ask people to skip the cloth hall.
Yeah, you can't really miss it. You're going to walk through it at some stage, so it's probably...
it's literally in the center of the center of the center of town.
Yeah.
Okay, but my specific recommendation is not to buy anything, unless you really like it. And one thing that annoys me, right, my mom loves amber, and a lot of the stalls sell beautiful amber necklaces, amber pieces of jewellery. But they're not as cheap as they are on the side streets, so A, you should avoid it for that reason. And B, they seem to have a very ununiform policy towards haggling. Some of them get quite offended when you try and haggle on price, and some of them are more than happy to.
Oh, yeah?
And it's not a pleasant experience to go in one stall to the next. I wouldn't say the customer service is where it needs to be when it comes to
just
buying
again, the amber has
jewellery.
no connection with this city. It's like coming here looking for ivory or something. Why here?
You can get good.
No offense
deals
to your
on
mom,
amber,
by the way.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, Mom.
Okay, number 3. I should have punched the list up a little bit, but I'm just going to read it out unvarnished as I have it written here to cause a bit of controversy. Assholes on segways. Is there any other way to look on a Segway apart from looking like an asshole? That's really my question. Why would you want to look like that while you're flying around the city?
Maybe someone ought to instigate kind of Segway posture classes so that you look less like an asshole.
Well, let's just say you look stupid then, all right, Mr. Literal?
You asked it was a rhetorical question. I apologise.
It's kind of like going to an art museum or visiting churches. It's one of those things that 99% of people only do when they're on vacation. Nobody says, hey, this weekend, let's go down to the local Segway place and ride around. Nobody says that. But when you're on holiday, suddenly it looks like the coolest thing ever.
I met someone in the Irish bar recently who said she felt a bit self-conscious on her Segway, and I said that's because you correctly judged that everybody who looked at you thought you were an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the last time you saw someone on a Segway and thought, my God, that person looks cool, I really wish I was in his or her place right now.
The guy who invented the Segway is a fascinating man. He also invented a water filtration system which requires no filters or anything. He's a genius, actually.
Is it true that his surname is Medley, or is it?
Do you know what? I forgot his name, and that's why I clearly didn't use his name, Josh. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, that's actually a terrible
Prepared.
pun, but, yeah.
I didn't even get the pun. I'm too into my list. Sorry, Josh. Number 2, Melex Boogie Tours. We kind of covered that already.
We covered it, but just, again, if you forgot,
Why?
if you're taking a Melex tour, you're probably an asshole too.
Yeah.
You probably just finished your Segway tour and you jumped on the Melex right afterwards.
We are generally, as a team, in favour of walking tours.
Yes.
We're in favor of walking tours. And you know what? One thing about the Melex thing, again, the golf carts, have you noticed how they have, it's such a cliche, but they have the British flag, they have the Italian flag, they have the German flag.
On the awning around the top.
Yeah. And then they have Schindler Museum and then Jewish Ghetto.
Jewish Ghetto!
Points. And,
Exclamation mark. It's ridiculous.
could it be any tackier? But please stay away. Unless you have one leg, please stay away from the Melex tours.
Mm-hmm.
Or no legs.
Number 1 with a bullet. It is the horse and carriage experience on the main square. Would you like to queue in fetid warm piss to sit on the back of a carriage for a half an hour and be absolutely robbed? I don't know. It's up to you.
Well, I look at it like this. I have no interest in partaking whatsoever, but I think that as part of the kind of the colour of the local colour of the main square, when you sit there, it's say in the wintertime drinking your hot beer, savouring the flavour and watching these picturesque horses and carriages go around with some, benighted fool who's forked out 250 Zs to do like a lap of the square, I think. I don't know.
Well, everything wasn't as serene. I think it was about 7 years ago. One of the horses was left unmoored and went rogue. And they're like Shire horses. They're huge.
Yeah, they're
Right.
And one of them bolted straight through the gardens on Yana. It was apparently one of the most terrifying things anyone has ever seen on the main square, because I met two guys from Cork just after who walked into the Irish pub as white as ghosts. And we were having a drink by the table, just disappeared. There was two horses. It was unbelievable. That was a Cork accent for those of you who've never been to Ireland. Or
Very good
anyone
Cork
who's actually
accent,
been to Cork. Sorry about that.
You didn't ask them why the long faces or anything?
No, I wasn't there. But anyway, I would say the horse and carriage shows, I'm sorry for saying that you get robbed. Of course, you won't get robbed on them. They're not strip clubs. I just think they're a little expensive and maybe a bit overrated. A bit overrated is the theme of this list. It's not don't do it, or if you have done it, feel stupid. It's just
the backpedaling now. I
So wait,
think,
let me go back to Josh. Are you saying that you think it adds to the atmosphere?
Yeah, I think that there's a kind of, people have this idealized sort of, especially in the, wintertime if it's snowing, there's this fairy tale kind of, like, oh, look at this, and the horses and the carriages and the...
It's like the mounted police in your favourite city, John, in Central Park in New York. John's a famous lover of the city.
I'll agree with Josh that the horse and carriage does add to the atmosphere. But when I see people jumping in and, paying whatever they're paying, they don't mean it this way, I know, but there's something arrogant about it. There's something, like you're a Roman emperor being paraded through a conquered city, and you're going to throw like little coins to the beggars, and demand some kind of tribute. There's something. They're literally looking down on people as they're paraded through the center of town. I think that's terrible.
To be fair, I mean,
I didn't expect that reaction at all.
I don't like it at all. I think it's really, really unintentionally rude.
In the season when people are getting married and stuff, it's quite often the case that, especially if you get married in Mariatsky Church.
Yeah,
and then,
I'll make an exception for them.
Even if it's only just to take you down to the end of Grodska and you jump in your coach. And
we have to do a piece at some stage on this show about the photo traditions when you get you get married in the centre of Krakow. I've got stories. Okay,
so posing by the motorway intersection.
Yeah, so let's wrap it up there. That was our top 10 most overrated things to do in Krakow. We're not saying that these are shocking things, but as you've just heard, they're the type of things that a lot of tourists do, and you could probably skip. Thank you for listening to the KrakCast. Go to our Facebook page and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of the show. Please do. Be specific. Get in there and give us some feedback so we can bring it onto the airwaves and read it out. Don't post it if you don't want us to read it out. Thank you for listening.